Stick with me here. I am the sole heir to a top-tier family. But right at my very own engagement party, Fiancée literally decided to run away. She had the nerve to say her best friend caught a simple cold, and that our big wedding could just be rescheduled anytime. But hey, her dear best friend only lives once, right? Honestly, was so furious, I actually laughed out loud. A cold? Seriously? Grab a tissue, not my future bride. If it were not for the crazy fact that in my past life, she and that exact best buddy totally ruined me, making me a literal human potato, while teaming up to drain every single penny from the Chester family. I might have actually believed her absolute nonsense. Chase Chester, Yvonne Turner said, her voice dripping with total confidence. I told you, our wedding can easily happen another day. This is a massive emergency. I just could not handle this wild sitcom level logic anymore. You say we can just redo it? Am I some sort of Netflix subscription you can pause and renew? I fired back, my anger completely boiling over. I spent 6 whole months preparing for this engagement, and you think a simple redo fixes everything? Finally, ignoring my own reputation, I loudly yelled, sure, we can redo it, but will the groom even be me next time? My sudden outburst left Yvonne completely stunned. She looked at me like I was speaking an alien language. After all, from childhood until right now, the Chase Chester she knew had never once raised his voice. I had always spoiled her, granting her every single ridiculous request without ever asking why. But right now, not only was I making her lose face in front of a massive crowd, but I was also questioning her. What do you mean? Who will the groom be? Is that even a real question? Watch closely now. She snapped back, clearly offended. Chase, what nonsense are you spouting? Are you actually canceling our grand engagement? I let out a cold, sarcastic chuckle. The one trying to cancel this engagement is probably you, my dear runaway bride. I have made myself incredibly clear. Does a hospital actually need you to save a life? You act like this is no big deal. Just finish the errand and chat later. Yvonne replied with an icy tone. Can you stop throwing a huge tantrum? Wait until I handle things on my end, and I will explain everything. I scoffed loudly. Oh, my bad. I did not realize you were a certified surgeon. Now, will your mere presence cure the sick? Tell me, who exactly is lying inside that hospital? Below the stage, the crowd slowly started whispering. Who could possibly have enough pull to make the notoriously cold eldest daughter of the Turner family ditch her grand engagement party? It is my assistant, Yvonne replied coldly. Dylan. The entire ballroom let out a huge gasp. Who is Dylan? Some insiders whispered to their neighbors. He is the male assistant who is super close to her. A male bestie in high society? Yeah, right. Who would ever buy that fairy tale? Watching the chaotic crowd, I remained perfectly calm and asked, so, did Dylan catch a cold or a fever this time? You see this too, right? A lowly assistant made the heiress abandon her fiancé to play nurse? Chase, stop being so bitter and completely sarcastic. She snapped. Dylan is not just an assistant. He is my friend. Disrespecting him means disrespecting me. Is that so? I said, my voice dropping to sub-zero. It seems this friend is much more important than your fiancé. Fine, then. Make your choice now. Me or Dylan, who do you choose? Given our years of history, I genuinely thought she would at least hesitate for one dramatic second. Who knew she'd answer faster than a Google search? I choose Dylan. Chase, let me tell you, I won't let this go easily. I will never forgive you. And with that epic mic drop, she hung up and actually sprinted toward the hospital. But right at that very moment, Yvonne suddenly felt a sharp pang in her heart, as if someone deeply important was leaving forever. She had only felt this once before, 3 years ago, when her mother sadly passed away in a car crash. Her mind immediately went to Dylan. Dylan, no, you absolutely cannot leave me. Tears streamed down her face as she floored the gas pedal, wildly racing toward the hospital like she starred in a Fast and Furious movie. What Yvonne did not know was that this was the absolute last chance I was giving her. Even though she had caused my tragic end in our previous life, I wanted to give her one last shot to make the right choice. But clearly, she tossed it in the trash. By this time, Yvonne had arrived at the hospital. Ignoring the security guard's warnings, she just barged right in. A pure white wedding dress, looking like a beautiful cloud descending from the heavens. Nobody had ever seen a bride in a full gown running frantically through a hospital. People assumed her boyfriend must be fading away fast. He probably has a tragic illness. She wore the dress to give him one last beautiful look. Loving the crazy drama, Several girls pulled out their phones, snapped pictures, added their own tragic fan fiction captions, and posted them online. That's where we leave it. Yvonne ignored the paparazzi, her mind entirely consumed by Dylan. You and I are jumping right into peak drama. She cried endless tears over her little brother, making the crazy crowd believe those wild rumors entirely. During my previous life, those exact online rumors utterly ruined me. Once our real identities leaked out, I wore the ultimate villain label for my entire life. When her wealthy family strictly punished Yvonne and strongly dealt with Dylan, she threatened the absolute unthinkable to protect him. Like an absolute idiot, I thought she realized her huge mistakes and totally forgave her. But the wild online mob totally disagreed. They painted me as some wealthy, brainless bully, using my family power to force the Turner heiress to marry me. Yvonne knew everything, yet she never once spoke up to actually defend me. She only cared about protecting Dylan's flawless reputation. To her, I was just as valuable as a discarded napkin. Meanwhile, back at the party, I grabbed the mic and coldly announced, since the eldest Miss Turner has finally made her choice, I will very gladly grant her simple wish. The woman I called Grandma Turner for over 2 whole decades rushed onto the stage, desperately trying to stop me. Chase, my dear boy, please do not do this. Let us close the doors and talk privately. Yvonne is completely in the wrong today, and we will surely discipline her. Just put that mic down for me. I stared right at Grandma Turner, feeling a massive, sudden realization. 6 years ago, when the Turners were on the verge of being completely kicked out of Hang City's top 5, my Chester family sacrificed our very own interests to give them a massive financial lifeline, instantly pushing them up into 4th position, way higher than their previous peak. Yet in my first life, right after marrying Yvonne, I foolishly handed over the entire Chester family empire for her to run. Just a few years later, the massive Chester company vanished from Hang City completely. Now, pay attention. This is completely wild. The Turners swallowed everything. I literally fed the greedy wolves, letting tiny ants swallow a giant elephant. But in this new life, history was absolutely not repeating itself. Grandma Turner, I finally replied coldly, showing absolutely zero mercy. You are a Turner. I am a Chester. How could we possibly be one family? My harsh words hit her exactly like a physical slap. She never expected that in one single split second, her sweet, obedient grandson would completely change his entire tune. Speaking totally without any filter, she tried using her elder status to strongly pressure me. Chase, no matter what happens today, I am still your grandmother. How dare you speak to me like this? I am sorry, but the exact moment your granddaughter made her choice, your grandson ceased to be me. His real name is Dylan, I stated, voice like pure steel. Right now, I am speaking directly to you as the Chester family head. Do you honestly think my harsh tone is inappropriate? Yvonne choosing to abandon her fiancé to nurse another guy was definitely not just personal drama anymore. She took the Chester family's pride, threw it hard onto the floor, and danced right on it. This became a full-blown war between two massive mega families. Realizing she could not play the emotional card anymore, Grandma Turner stared at me in absolute despair. You feel that shift too, right? She basically saw the intimidating ghost of the former patriarch, the legendary man who once ruled an entire era. I turned to the huge crowd. I apologized to everyone for wasting your valuable time on an engagement party that ultimately became a circus act, but I firmly stand by my words. I will happily grant her wish. If Miss Turner already has someone else in her heart, how could I violently steal her true love? From today onward, I, Chase Chester, officially and completely cancel my engagement with Yvonne Turner. I completely disagree. I totally forbid this. My furious ex-father-in-law, Harold Turner, somehow found the sudden courage to charge onto the stage to stop me. Chase, you cannot legally make this massive decision completely alone. Mr. Turner, I asked, my voice literally as cold as ice. On what solid grounds do you disagree? Your daughter chose to run off to her true love. What do you expect me to do? Send some goons to brutally kidnap her and lock her safely up? The Chester family refuses to do dirty work like that. My proud upbringing forbids it. My words delivered a direct slap to the Turner family face, perfectly implying they had zero class and raised a truly shameless daughter. Chase. Yvonne never foresaw that her choice would completely destroy the engagement. If she knew, she would have sprinted right back. Please, give her one more chance, Harold begged. I laughed sarcastically. Mr. Turner, do you really think I didn't give her a chance? She fully rejected it herself. I turned to the man next to me. Uncle Leo, there is an email I received yesterday on my phone. It has a few photos. Please project them onto the giant screen behind me. The entire ballroom buzzed loudly, even though nobody knew what was coming. The fresh tea was piping hot, and everyone was totally thirsty for it. The Turner family, however, looked like they might literally pass out. They knew a much bigger bomb was dropping now. Soon enough, the massive screen behind me, which originally displayed our lovely pre-wedding photos, suddenly flipped to several shocking photos of Yvonne and Dylan. She wore a wedding dress beside Dylan. You and I just witnessed perfect karma. Let's jump right into this madness. She acted like a sweet, innocent fiancé in that first picture. But stick with me. Those next photos exposed Yvonne to absolutely brutal public shame. Every shot had a strict timestamp. Phase 1 looked completely ordinary. Dylan walked up to a hotel room totally alone. Phase 2. The door swings wide open, and guess who was standing there? Yvonne. Flashing a bright smile, she dragged Dylan inside and slammed it shut. Phase 3. Yvonne escorting him out. Well over an hour went by from the second he stepped in until he left. Plus, Yvonne had literally changed her clothes twice. First outfit was casual. The second, a straight-up hotel bathrobe. In that last picture, showing him the door, it was blatantly obvious she had just showered. Her damp hair and her cheeks were totally flushed like a bright red apple. Anybody with a functioning brain knew exactly what that scene meant. Seriously, who invites a guy into their private room just to casually grab a shower? Unless something sneaky happened? The harsh truth was glaringly obvious to everyone right now. Yvonne was totally cheating. She dared to play me for an absolute fool with her very own assistant. Let's watch her try to excuse this. Oh, man. Dylan over Chase? Is she actually insane? The entire crowd just completely lost their minds watching this unfold. Now pay attention here. Even though we were just formalizing things today, our engagement was decided at birth. Everyone viewed her as my flawless, untouchable bride. These dramatic photos permanently stamped a massive cheater sign on her. Down in the crowd, Hazel, who had stayed completely quiet this whole time, violently shattered her expensive wine glass and shrieked. How could Yvonne do this? Spinning around, she yelled right at her guards, "Go drag Yvonne back here immediately." Sister Hazel, wait, please don't do anything crazy. I rushed to stop her. Hazel froze in place, looking at me with pure shock and heavy emotion. What did you just call me? I totally understood her feelings. Filled with genuine emotion, I spoke up louder. Sis, trust me, I will handle this perfectly. Just calling her sis carried all my warmth and massive regret. Years back, to keep Yvonne from getting jealous, I purposely pushed Hazel away. Despite us being super close, I hadn't used that word forever. Instantly, Hazel's eyes filled with warmth. Okay, I will stay. I trust you. Honestly, Hazel was throwing a massive internal celebration right then. Sure, Yvonne humiliated me and dragged my family name through the dirt, but this meant I finally escaped that awful woman to stand beside Hazel again. This was an incredible victory. Our old bond felt completely restored to normal now. The one flaw was that snake, Yvonne escaping punishment. But Hazel promised she would ruin her peaceful life entirely. I calmed Hazel down, gesturing to the giant screen for Harold. Mr. Turner, your daughter has clearly finished sealing the deal with Dylan over there. So your protests mean absolutely nothing. Your real son-in-law is hospitalized right now. You should probably go visit him. You would hate for such a prized catch to slip away, right? You and I both know Harold is getting desperate here. Chase, elite marriages are always messy like this. You do your thing, she does hers. Yvonne stood by you forever. You cannot toss her aside just because you had your fun. She just made a tiny mistake. Forgive her, tie the knot, and claim half the Turner family fortune. If you ignore the romance, at least secure the cash. Let us drop this whole cancelled engagement nonsense immediately. Staring at my former father-in-law, I was utterly baffled. Things blew up entirely, yet he actually believed I would just accept this massive level of disrespect. Plus, Yvonne and I were perfectly innocent. We never took that final step. I suffered through wearing a humiliating green hat back in my past life. I refused to wear it twice. Does the Chester family look desperate enough to need some pathetic Turner charity cash? I dropped my second bomb. Starting today, the Chester family officially cancels every strategic partnership with the Turner Empire. After our ongoing projects finish up, we will never sign another contract with you. No way. Harold stood frozen, while Grandma Turner literally collapsed in pure panic right there. Hiding Yvonne's dirty secret was officially impossible. By tomorrow morning, every Turner company stock was going to absolutely plummet. But me tearing up those business TIs? That was basically ripping out their final financial life support machine completely. Who would ever buy Turner products after this? Consumed by massive rage and terror, Grandma Turner completely blacked out on the floor. Hurry! Rush Grandma to the emergency room. The Turner relatives scattered like absolute headless chickens while carrying her away so quickly. With the whole pathetic Turner clan finally kicked out of the Chester mansion, I faced the crowd. Ladies and gentlemen, the clown show is over. Even though the wedding is cancelled, our banquet continues. Please enjoy a wonderful dinner with me tonight. You and I both know the Chesters took a minor hit today, but my revenge performance was absolutely flawless. Every single young lady in that crowd stared at me like I was some priceless, glowing diamond. Let's dive in. Yvonne tossed me aside, meaning I was officially back on the market. Free game. I mean, who wouldn't want to marry into the insanely rich Chester family? With my parents gone, whoever married me became the absolute boss of the house instantly. Zero monster-in-law drama. This was literally the ultimate dream for every single socialite here. I casually handed the microphone back to the host, stepped right off that stage, and approached Hazel. Sis, you have worked so hard running the company all these years while I just ignored everything. Starting tomorrow, I'm coming into the office. Time to clean out the trash. Hazel took a huge step toward me, her eyes completely serious. Chase, are you finally awake? Yes, I am. I should have realized this way sooner, but it is definitely not too late to fix things. Compared to my tragic past life, where I finished that pathetic engagement alone, married Yvonne 6 months later, and gave her all my Chester shares just for her love. This was a massive upgrade. Now watch closely. Back then, I handed her my legacy on a silver platter. The result? Ultimate betrayal from Yvonne, leaving me with absolutely nothing. 10 years later, fading away alone in the old Chester mansion. Hazel, we cannot ignore them anymore. The background music suddenly switched to a super upbeat tune. Everything engagement related was instantly taken away. It was like everyone just caught collective amnesia about the drama. The high society banquet officially kicked off. I strolled through the crowd with my glass, toasting and apologizing to everyone, perfectly saving face for our guests. Chase, a real man aims for the absolute stars. A great guy never worries about finding a wife. You are outstanding. You deserve a way better woman. A certain guest spoke up. It was Mr. King, a patriarch of the King family, the second most powerful group in Hang City, just below us. He was not comforting me at all. He was taking a petty, passive-aggressive jab at the Chester family's public embarrassment. I just smiled politely. Uncle King is completely right. Thank you so much for the wisdom. However, sometimes having way too many wives is not a good thing either. The house is never peaceful. Internal family battles never actually end. You must be careful, or the fire might burn your own backyard. I took a sip of wine and walked away without even looking back. Patriarch King's face turned completely purple, his mustache twitching in pure, absolute rage. He knew exactly what I was hinting at. His massive habit of taking 5 official wives and keeping a small army of mistresses. He was over 70, from the exact same generation as Grandma Turner. Yet he had dozens of descendants. 5 wives, 8 sons, 3 daughters. His oldest son already had grandkids, and yet, just last year, this old man managed to pop out another baby boy. The entire King family was basically a chaotic war zone of heirs fighting over the inheritance. Besides the Chesters and the Kings, Hang City also had the Suttons and Vances, making up the top 5 strongest families in the entire province. I know what you're thinking. Who's next? Well, I strolled over to the Sutton section, where Grandpa Sutton brought his granddaughter, Victoria Sutton, to greet me. Victoria was one of the 4 legendary golden flowers of Hang City, an absolutely stunning beauty. The line of wealthy heirs chasing her could probably circle Westlake 10 times over. She was 1 year older than me, but completely single. I respectfully raised my glass to Grandpa Sutton, with perfect junior etiquette, then very politely clinked glasses with the gorgeous Victoria. Grandpa Sutton, I am so truly sorry for making you come all this way just to witness this absolute mess. Grandpa Sutton just laughed warmly. Chase, do not say that. Your parents were my really good friends. How could I ever miss your big day? If the hospitality was not perfect today, I will personally visit your house another day to make it right. Of course, Grandpa Sutton, I will definitely visit soon. I smiled, addressing him warmly. Haha, good. Go handle your business right now. No need to entertain us. I nodded at Victoria and walked away. Once I was out of earshot, Victoria, what do you really think of this boy? I can only say his mind is incredibly deep. He is calm to a terrifying degree. The Chester fleet truly deserves their #1 spot. Yvonne Turner just threw away a diamond for a pebble. Grandpa Sutton just smiled in total satisfaction. It is good that you think so. Years ago, I was one step too slow, letting the Turners claim him first. Otherwise, Yvonne would not have stood a single chance. You are the only one actually fit to be the mistress of the Chester family. It is not too late. Victoria, if I want you to win Chase over, are you willing? Victoria totally did not expect her own grandfather to be so shockingly direct. She paused, then shyly lowered her head without answering, which was basically a completely silent yes, please. Hazel and I stood right at the estate gates, personally seeing off every single guest and returning all their wedding gifts. So what do you and I take from this? The estate got quiet, but the storm is just beginning. Chase, are you really letting this go? How dare Yvonne treat you this way? I seriously cannot stand it. Why betray you? Hazel sobbed. Right then, I dropped the strong act. I sank heavily into a chair, my eyes going hollow, overwhelmed by total shock and deep sorrow. Stick with me here. We are about to see how he handles such a ruthless betrayal today. Today's public embarrassment was just the beginning. But honestly, I could easily brush it off. Because compared to 10 years from now, when Yvonne completely destroyed my entire future for Dylan, this was nothing. In my past life, I actually swallowed my pride and married Yvonne. But on our wedding night, Dylan pulled an insanely ridiculous stunt. He got fake drunk, acted like he fell in water, and Yvonne ran to his house all night. She did not come back to our bridal suite until morning. I stayed awake that entire night. Nobody knew the intense anger consuming me, but upon seeing her face, I hid it entirely. After our wedding, Yvonne was practically a ghost at home, running both family businesses. She traveled non-stop, always dragging Dylan along. They were basically glued together, acting way closer than any married couple should. Hazel cried to me countless times, pleading with me to grab my shares back and just divorce Yvonne. But I was completely blind. I foolishly told myself that without any hard proof, it did not count. Now pay close attention. In year 3, I came home early from hanging out, and our entire world totally shattered into pieces. Refusing to be played like an absolute fool, I stormed inside, ripped them apart, and gave Dylan the ultimate, well-deserved beatdown. But to protect her precious Dylan, Yvonne grabbed a massive vase and slammed it on my head. I crashed down completely out of it, watching my wife frantically check her lover before I slipped right into a deep, endless coma. From then on, I was totally paralyzed, stuck helplessly in bed. Though I could not move, I heard absolutely every single thing. I simply could not speak. I never saw Yvonne again. Only Hazel visited daily, sharing cheerful stories about the outside world. Meanwhile, Yvonne and Dylan proudly paraded around like lovers. Soon after, Yvonne returned just once, ruthlessly kicking me out of my own suite. I got dumped at the old Chester family mansion. Hazel left her career to be my full-time caretaker, praying for a miracle, but no doctor could fix me. Driven by sheer desperation, Hazel actually hired guys to pummel Dylan into a paralyzed state. 2. When Yvonne discovered who ordered the strike, she brought thugs to our mansion, brutally taking everyone down before my unblinking eyes. She dragged Hazel away. After that, I never heard her voice again, having zero clue where she vanished. The Chester family entirely collapsed into Turner control. None of my old friends visited, and nobody cared about Hazel's fate. Remembering that awful timeline, I wanted nothing more than absolute payback against Yvonne and Dylan. But thankfully, heaven granted me a truly glorious second chance. I would not act recklessly today. I owed Hazel far too much. I owed my family everything. I was not going to let this second life be ruined by those two traitors. You and I know this is not over. Yvonne is a side quest. The whole Turner family will absolutely pay. Sis, what do you think matters most for a woman? I asked, without waiting for answers. Especially for a rich family's daughter. Reputation means absolutely everything. Today, I brilliantly exposed her secret affair to the world. Sure, it was a daring sacrifice, taking a hit just to bring her down. But now Yvonne can entirely forget about marrying any wealthy heir. As for her family, We do not even have to lift a finger. The Turners will tear each other apart. Our only mission is crushing the Turner family business so they can never rise up again. Hazel walked up and touched my forehead. Just like our childhood days. Her eyes were fierce. Chase, I will always support you. Our family is your shield. We will make them pay tenfold. Looking at the familiar face I missed endlessly, my emotions finally broke. When I was paralyzed before, Hazel faithfully bathed me, moved me, and massaged my tired muscles every single day. I sprang up and hugged her super tightly. I could only imagine what awful hardships she survived after Yvonne took her away. Previously, massive regret haunted me for trusting Yvonne and letting her ruin the person who cared for me. The absolute most. I buried my face into Hazel's shoulder, inhaling her familiar scent. Losing her and finding her again made me cry uncontrollably. Hazel was completely stunned by my tight hug. We had not hugged since becoming adults. She basically raised me. As a little kid, I was always trailing behind her. Meeting Yvonne made me drift away. Hearing my cries, Hazel gently assumed I was mourning my broken relationship with Yvonne. Trembling slightly, she wrapped her arms around me, petting my head exactly like she used to comfort the younger, crybaby me. He cried it out, feeling lighter. Trust me, we are going to love seeing his epic comeback. Let's dive into this wild drama. Sis, rest up. Tomorrow is a massive company day. I headed straight for the door. Where are you going? Hazel asked fast. It is way too late, I replied. To the bridal suite. I need to grab my parents' old items. I refused to leave them with Yvonne. Seeing I wasn't running back to her, Hazel finally stayed totally quiet, letting me go. Arriving at Ocean Sky Pavilion, I pushed open the grand villa door. Staring at this bizarrely familiar room, my thoughts completely spun out. Originally, I wanted us to live in the classic Chester mansion after marrying, but Yvonne totally shut it down. She claimed the old place looked way outdated. So, when the Turner property project started crashing, she made me buy here. This king villa cost $1.5 billion. Once I invested, the doomed project instantly turned into a massive hit, saving the Turners. All my wealthy friends grabbed houses here just to stay close. I dropped another $500 million on the interior design, matching everything perfectly to Yvonne's style. I literally watched the renovations for 6 whole months, truly believing we would spend our entire lives right here. But instead, I just funded a fancy love nest for Dylan. That is exactly why Hazel snapped. In my past life, destroying Dylan, which sadly dragged her down into ruin. Remembering that painful truth, my chest honestly felt completely ripped apart. I crashed to the floor, passing out. Meanwhile, over at Hang City Central Hospital, Yvonne sat right beside Dylan, watching his pale face, feeling totally heartbroken. Now, pay attention. She had absolutely no clue about the massive bomb I just dropped. She also did not realize she was now the most famous woman in Hang City, for totally the wrong reasons. While she ran into the hospital, pictures of her wearing that wedding dress completely flooded the internet. At first, everyone romanticized their sad story. One blogger claimed Yvonne wore her bridal gown just to fulfill her heavily sick partner's ultimate wish. People online loved her beauty and praised her endless loyalty. The post exploded with support, but the actual truth flipped faster than a spinning coin. The Chester family basically ruled Hang City. Even a tiny rumor about them always caused a massive earthquake. The engagement party drama blew up. Yvonne, totally clueless, turned off her phone since too many called her. In her head, I was literally just throwing a silly, very temporary tantrum. She figured once she explained things face to face, I would calm down and forgive. The Turner family would not even blame her. She seriously planned to make me apologize and propose again. If she felt nice, she might forgive my bad attitude and still marry me. She actually thought, how dare he make me pick between him and Dylan? This time, we'll punish him by ignoring him for days. Teach him some manners. Because, honestly, for years, no matter how wild she acted, if she just looked at me, I always forgave her immediately. You saw that coming, right? Bam! That hospital room door violently kicked open. She jumped, assuming I arrived to fight. But the guy walking in was actually her father, Harold, closely followed by a few tough bodyguards. Spotting Harold, she breathed a big sigh of relief. Dad, why are you here? She asked, her voice showing absolutely zero respect. Harold, totally used to it, simply said, Yvonne, your poor grandmother fainted from rage. She is in the next room. Go see her. Hearing this, Yvonne dropped Dylan's hand, standing straight up. What? Why did she faint? Why not tell me sooner? What the heck is Chase doing? He cannot even handle one tiny issue without making my poor grandma totally furious. Is he with you? Harold replied. No, I need to go question him. Her pretty face looked freezing cold, pushing every bit of blame onto me. It never crossed her mind that sprinting away like a track star actually caused this massive disaster. Obviously, she did not know I had permanently cancelled the engagement. Harold ignored her. He just glared at Dylan on the bed, sneering, "Stop faking it right now. I practically invented these dirty tricks years ago." Dylan stayed perfectly frozen, faking a very deep coma. Harold scoffed. Fine, keep playing totally asleep. Turning to his giant guards, he ordered, "Watch him. Do not let him take a single step outside." With that, Harold stormed out. Dylan's sneaky eyelids slightly twitched. He almost peeked, but sensing two massive guards looming over him, he squeezed his eyes shut, resuming his Oscar-winning performance as a frozen statue. Next door, Yvonne rushed in, seeing her grandmother still completely out. Terrified, she started sobbing. "Miss Wong, what happened to Grandma?" Miss Wong, a loyal servant there for over 50 years, who practically raised Yvonne from birth, just sadly hesitated. She could not believe the eldest miss did something this embarrassing, but the cold evidence was undeniable. "Miss," the master was so incredibly furious, her heart failed. She should wake up soon. Before Yvonne asked more, Grandma Turner loudly groaned, opening her eyes. "Grandma, are you okay? How are you feeling?" Yvonne quickly rushed forward. "Where is Chase? You fainted, and he totally skipped the hospital visit. So what do we learn here?" Grandma violently shoved her. "Get away. I have no granddaughter like you." "All right, stick with me here." Yvonne completely froze, realizing her dark secret was exposed, but desperately played dumb. She claimed it was just an engagement party. She could easily postpone it and explain everything to me. She desperately grabbed her phone to call me for an apology, but Grandma Turner furiously snapped, demanding she put it away and listen to her first. Yvonne didn't dare talk back and quickly hid her phone. Grandma Turner then signaled her maid to leave them entirely alone. Once the door clicked shut, the old woman's expression twisted into absolute fury. What was Yvonne thinking? Did she really think her grandmother was too old to handle her? She brought unbelievable humiliation to their respected family. She dragged the Turner family name through the dirt. Hearing this, Yvonne trembled, crying, an absolute waterfall. She was completely clueless about why her grandmother was practically exploding with anger. What did she even do to deserve getting scolded and ruining their precious reputation? The audacity! Grandma Turner absolutely roared, demanding to know the identity of the mysterious guy in the very next room. Why was he casually staying in a fancy VIP suite? What exactly was their secret relationship? The old woman was desperately struggling to hold back some serious curse words. Back in her strict generation, pulling an outrageous stunt like this meant getting tossed, right, into a river. Yvonne completely froze. She never mentioned Dylan to her family. To them, he was just a regular assistant. Feeling totally betrayed, she demanded to know if I snitched on her. Why was I being so petty when she already claimed her bond with Dylan was strictly professional? Just an assistant? Grandma Turner immediately let out a very dark, mocking laugh in response. Now watch closely. What kind of assistant makes a CEO abandon her own engagement party just to, personally, nurse him? Did she really call that a boss and employee dynamic? Nobody believes that. Is everyone completely stupid? Hit with those incredibly sharp questions, Yvonne started panicking hard. She had zero clue how to explain her bond. In her mind, it wasn't romantic love, just a deep platonic sibling connection. But who would actually buy that? She assumed if I simply defended her, her grandmother would totally believe it. She tried calling my number again, but the old lady sneered and told her to save her breath. There was zero chance I'd pick up. Yvonne stubbornly dialed anyway, but just as expected, I totally ignored all three of her desperate calls. Back then, always answer before the third ring even sounded. Grandma Turner sighed heavily, breaking down everything that happened after Yvonne bailed. She explained my strict ultimatum and how I publicly canceled our entire engagement. The only detail she conveniently skipped was that insane PowerPoint presentation exposing her hotel meetups with Dylan. Hearing I publicly canceled the wedding left Yvonne utterly shell-shocked. She couldn't believe it, convinced I still loved her deeply. How dare I cancel? She needed to find me face to face. She turned to run out, but Grandma sharply ordered her to get right back here. Let's pause for a second. Staring at this completely delusional girl, Grandma finally realized she had spectacularly failed at raising her. What was the point now? Yvonne was completely at fault, and I stopped enabling her. Grandma then demanded the absolute truth. What exactly was happening between her and that assistant? How far had those two actually gone behind my back? Grandma needed answers immediately. Yvonne's eyes nervously darted around with guilt. What was Grandma implying? She swore she and Dylan had nothing happening. She pleaded they were just colleagues, friends at best, and told her to ignore my absolute nonsense. She frantically explained that choosing Dylan earlier merely meant visiting the hospital, not permanently replacing me as her partner. How could she possibly ever leave a guy like me? Leaving me was totally impossible. That part was true. She only chose him out of pure spite, because I heavily backed her into a corner. But Grandma Turner definitely wasn't buying a word of that. Did she even realize how much absolute damage her dirty cheating scandal would inflict on their family corporation? Yvonne's eyes went totally wide. What cheating scandal? Who dared say she cheated? Instead of explaining anything, Grandma yanked out her phone and shoved the secret hotel photos right into Yvonne's terrified face. Yvonne's jaw dropped as pure panic set in. Where did those pictures come from? Who took them? Grandma coldly stated she absolutely didn't need to know. Grandma coldly delivered the final verdict. Whether she actually slept with Dylan or not, that assistant boy was completely and utterly ruined. Game over. Even if my family didn't destroy him, the Turners definitely would. He was the biggest, shameful stain on her life. Hearing her grandmother threaten Dylan's safety, Yvonne instantly snapped into protective mode. Loudly screaming no, she forbid her from touching him, shouting that she'd have to ruin her first. Seeing this insane reaction, Grandma instantly knew it was completely game over. Yvonne was clearly entirely compromised. She had probably already secretly promised herself to this Dylan. The old lady collapsed onto the bed, simply too furious to speak. Amazingly, Yvonne didn't notice her grandmother's critical condition. She was too busy trying to uncover the exact source of those scandalous photos. Seriously, where did these pictures even come from? So what do we take from this mess? Grandma sneered. Why didn't she consider the devastating consequences when doing those incredibly shameful things? Yvonne frantically stammered that it wasn't like that, desperately swearing she never embarrassed their respected family name. Let's dive in. Listen to her wild excuse. You raised me. I would never do that. She frantically scrambled. Wait, I remember now. Last week on our trip, he just came to my room late at night for serious company business. I promise. He spilled coffee on my outfit, so I had to change. Please believe me. Grandma Turner was stuck somewhere between totally convinced and super skeptical. The pictures didn't show the inside, but a guy and girl alone at midnight, ending up like that. Yeah, the whole spilled coffee excuse was honestly super weak. Spotting her grandma doubting her, Yvonne doubled down. Grandma, if you still doubt me, we are literally at a hospital right now. Go ahead, get a doctor to examine me this very second. Hearing that absolute confidence, Grandma Turner actually bought it a little bit. But things still made zero sense. If they weren't together, why defend him like her life literally depended on it? Was this really just some completely innocent platonic friendship? Realizing she couldn't hide things anymore, Yvonne finally confessed everything. A year ago, Dylan accidentally wandered into her private elevator during an interview. Just as she tried to boot him out, the whole thing completely broke down. Ever since she was little, Yvonne had terrible claustrophobia and totally hated darkness. During those scary minutes, Dylan became her lifeline. He kept her calm, so naturally, she hired him as her very own personal assistant. To Yvonne, Dylan was basically a troublemaking little brother creating messes for her to fix. He boldly talked back and totally ignored all her strict rules. But because of that elevator moment, she gave him a huge pass. Slowly, he became super special to her. Watch closely. Her logic here is absolutely wild. Unlike rich guys throwing cash or my endless pampering, Dylan boldly stole her handmade lunches and openly demanded she buy him expensive gifts. It felt like raising a rebellious little brother. The Turner family hadn't seen a male heir in 3 whole generations. Yvonne always craved a little brother, and Dylan fit that role absolutely perfectly. Over this past year, she became super dependent on him, granting every single ridiculous request. On our dates, if Dylan called, she would instantly ditch me. If he wanted a present I bought for her, she would hand it right over without blinking. We argued about this so much, but I always surrendered. That just fueled her ego, leading to her abandoning our massive engagement today. Hearing this absurd fairy tale, Grandma Turner practically wanted to slap her. No blood relation, yet acting so intimately? Who in the world would ever believe that? No wonder Chase acted so cold. He had been disappointed so many times that he finally hit total, absolute rock bottom. Every time he showed trust, she repaid him with worse betrayal. Grandma Turner beat her chest and loudly wailed, "What did our ancestors do to deserve a granddaughter like you? Why is everyone blaming me?" Yvonne cried, acting like a total victim. "This is completely Chase's fault. He is way too petty. Dylan is my brother, and Chase got crazy jealous, totally blowing this out of proportion." "Don't panic, Grandma. I'll find him and force him to hold a live press conference to clear this whole situation up." "Force him to explain?" Grandma Turner fiercely roared. "You think you get another chance? He was heartbroken enough to publicly dump your sorry self. You think this is a minor fight? Let me ask you, why did you force Chase to completely cut ties with Hazel? We both see the insane double standard here, right? You hated his adopted sister, yet you show zero boundaries with Dylan, demanding everyone believes he is just your innocent brother." Yvonne desperately wanted to argue, but she had absolutely zero logic left. "I swear, I don't love Dylan romantically. We're just siblings." Grandma Turner was too totally exhausted to entertain her insane mental gymnastics anymore. Suddenly, frantic knocking echoed as Harold burst into the room. "Mom, Yvonne's massive scandal is everywhere on the internet. Public opinion is completely destroying us. What should we do?" Grandma Turner fiercely glared at her incredibly useless son. Panicking over everything, he possessed zero leadership skills. Looking like a total joke compared to Chase. "Stop your pathetic panicking. Look how useless you are." Harold lowered his head, used to the endless abuse. Even Yvonne looked at her own father with pure disgust. She truly despised him. He was a weak, pathetic man who would have bankrupted the family ages ago without the Chester family's vital support. Harold handed them a tablet. "I am Chase Chester. I officially announce the total cancellation of my engagement with the Turner family. Period." The shocking news had spread like absolute wildfire. Yvonne and Grandma Turner frantically scrolled. Yvonne was violently shaking with rage, while Grandma Turner promptly fainted for the second time today. The internet was completely on my side. Insiders leaked everything I did for her, making girls everywhere super jealous, wishing they had my endless pampering. Meanwhile, Yvonne was brutally exposed online. Countless spicy photos of her and Dylan were dug up, eating together. Dylan holding her hand at hotels, Yvonne buying him designer gear at the mall. Dylan looked exactly like a pampered sugar baby kept by a rich boss. Yvonne couldn't possibly defend herself now. So what do we take from this? Karma always hits. Even screaming they were siblings wouldn't work. The entire Turner family was officially dragged through the absolute mud. Stick with me. Tomorrow morning, investors are dumping their Turner stocks in a massive panic. If they did not fix this, the Turners were finished. Everything built using my Chester family resources would just completely vanish. What do we do, Grandma? Yvonne finally tasted the bitter consequences of her actions. Her reputation was totally ruined, and the entire family was falling. And she seriously asked what to do. Grandma Turner, now fully awake, slapped Yvonne with all her remaining strength. Smack. "Why didn't you think of this when you were out fooling around?" Yvonne clutched her cheek, sobbing heavily. "Grandma, I'm so sorry. Chase will not actually leave me, right? I love him so much. I didn't betray him." "It is entirely too late for apologies," the furious old lady yelled back. "You did not even hide your tracks. You just flaunted it, afraid the whole world wouldn't know about your little boy toy. Now, you have ruined yourself and dragged our family right down with you." Looking at those brutal online comments, Grandma Turner absolutely refused to believe that sibling excuse. She openly wept for the century-old Turner legacy facing ruin. She hated Yvonne, but honestly, she hated me too, for blowing this whole scandal up. If I knew I was taking this much blame, probably would have completely collapsed again. "Chase is way too ruthless," Grandma Turner growled. "Putting this online is pushing us toward total ruin. If the Turner family falls, I swear I will not let those Chesters rest in peace." "Mom, actually, the Chesters didn't post this," Harold quickly interjected. "It was Yvonne. When she rushed into the hospital wearing her wedding dress, bystanders took pictures and created stories that went totally viral." He showed them the original leak source right on his tablet. Smack. Grandma Turner instantly slapped Yvonne again, She deeply regretted choosing Yvonne as the family heir. She was a disaster. Yvonne then completely broke down. She knew people snapped photos, but she was just too busy worrying about Dylan to care. "Get out! Get this terrible jinx away from me," Grandma Turner yelled out, aggressively grabbing her chest. Yvonne was shoved to the floor. Harold quickly stepped in to shield her. "Mom, right now is not the time to punish Yvonne. We must handle this crisis. 2 simple steps. First, suppress these rumors. We will hire fixers to bury the trending searches. Second, we find Chase and demand he hold a press conference to take the fall." Yvonne and Grandma Turner looked at him, absolutely stunned. Both steps were insanely difficult. Asking me to take the fall for her cheating was a pure fantasy. Why would I do that? But Harold elaborated, genuinely surprising both women. Nobody expected this totally useless father to actually have a working brain cell. Now watch closely. For the internet, Harold suggested buying juicier celebrity scandals to distract the public. Regarding Dylan, the family could officially adopt him as the old lady's grandson. That way, little hugging wouldn't be any big deal, as long as they were never caught kissing or in bed together. The absolute most crucial step. Me. I had to tell the public I was simply jealous, misunderstood their purely platonic sibling bond, and that I obviously still deeply loved and completely trusted Yvonne. The first 2 are easy, but Chase might refuse, Harold noted. Grandma Turner thought for a moment and commanded, "Harold, you are now vice president of the Turner Group. You have complete authority to handle the PR. Yvonne and I will figure out exactly how to handle Chase. Now go, work through the night fixing the internet." Harold had been excitedly waiting for this promotion for years. He eagerly nodded and left. Once he was gone, Grandma Turner aggressively stared daggers at Yvonne. "Tell me the absolute truth right now. Have you slept with Dylan or not?" She still did not buy that pure sibling narrative. "Grandma, if you do not believe me, I swear on my mother's memory, I have never done anything physical with Dylan at all." Mentioning her mother made Grandma Turner's face twitch unnaturally. "Fine, but just to be entirely safe, you are going to get a medical exam. Bring me the medical report." "An exam? What kind of exam?" Yvonne was clueless until her grandmother's eyes locked onto her stomach. Then it finally clicked. "Can you believe this?" Half an hour later, bright red, Yvonne clutched her medical report. Rushing toward my mansion, she endlessly called, but I totally ignored her. She did not know if I was mad or asleep. Meanwhile, back at the Chester mansion, I finally woke up after passing out from that intense collapse. That overwhelming pain felt like a final farewell to my past, a final, absolute goodbye to Yvonne. I had forcefully evicted her from my heart. Honestly, I felt much lighter. Looking around the luxurious bridal suite, I muttered, "Time to say a final goodbye to the past." I grabbed a bottle of red wine, chugged it straight down, and aggressively smashed it right against our giant wedding portrait. Then, I simply took a lighter and set fire to the beautiful custom wedding dress I prepared for her. The intense flames quickly drew the Chester family guards. They stood outside the door, too scared to enter. "Young master, are you alright? Get lost, nobody enters. Trust me, you and I are going to love what happens next. Let's dive into this wild story," I roared, burning it all. Once everything turned to ash, I called them in. "Clear out my things, then completely smash this place to pieces." I absolutely despised this room with a passion. This was where Yvonne completely betrayed me, leaving me utterly helpless. And this was the exact room where she and Dylan hid their sneaky little secret rendezvous. Watching the flames, the guards hesitated. They knew I had personally checked every single brick and tile in here. Seeing them freeze up, I asked coldly, "What? Are you guys planning on betraying me too?" The burly men frantically shook their heads. "No way, we will do it right now," ignored them, grabbed another wine bottle, and just walked out. I wandered the dark streets like a lost soul. I owned endless properties across Hang City, but nothing felt like a real home. That bridal suite meant pure betrayal, and the old mansion was exactly where Hazel was taken away. Just thinking about it hurt way too much. I wandered until dawn broke. The sky stayed dark, city lights fading out. My bottle was totally empty. Stumbling, I walked into a 5-star hotel. The security guard behind me quickly booked a presidential suite. Grabbing the key card, I stepped into the elevator all alone. I definitely drank way too much tonight. My body felt as light as a feather. A slight breeze could knock me over. My suite was up on the 66th floor, but at floor 50, a super messy young woman suddenly stumbled inside. She frantically smashed the close button like an absolute monster was chasing after her. Watch closely here. I squinted. She looked super young, maybe a fresh grade. She had lost her jacket, wearing only a tight cream-colored dress that perfectly showed off her stunning figure. Growing up around beauties, I had to admit she was exceptionally gorgeous. Honestly, on par with Yvonne. Just a totally different vibe. But I simply glanced and looked away. I was completely wasted and just wanted to sleep. But honestly, this girl seemed even more intoxicated than me. She stumbled, falling right into my arms. Out of pure reflex, I caught her. The second we touched, my heart totally skipped a beat. Leaning against my chest, she mumbled, "Save me, please. Save me." Right then, I realized something was very wrong. Her body temperature was dangerously high, and strange red flushes painted her pale skin. Before I could even process it, I held her off until the elevator dinged. Then, I quickly carried her straight into my hotel room. Once inside, she totally lost control, instantly grabbing at my shirt. "Miss, what are you doing?" Before I could finish asking, she silenced me with a kiss. Seeing her flawless face up close, her misty eyes looking like they held the entire universe, I was just completely pulled right in. Just as I tried to gently push her away, she whispered softly, "Please, save me." Between all the alcohol in my system and her being practically glued to me, my defenses completely crumbled. I closed my eyes, letting myself fall into the moment. Inside that presidential suite, it was exactly like dry wood meeting a massive roaring fire. Meanwhile, Yvonne had finally arrived at the old Chester mansion, only to be rejected by Uncle Leo. "I know what you are thinking." After begging, she learned, I went to the bridal villa. Yvonne beamed. "Chase definitely still has feelings for me. He is waiting at our new home." She rushed over, totally assuming I went there to prepare the special post-engagement gift I had promised her. Oh, I definitely prepared a gift. The wedding dress was now a pile of ashes. When Yvonne actually arrived, I was completely gone. The room was packed with guards holding baseball bats, absolutely smashing everything in sight. Yvonne was so insanely furious, she almost collapsed right there. "Stop! What are you doing? Who gave you permission to smash this? Get out!" The guards totally recognized her. She was almost the lady of the house, but the master ordered this destruction. They didn't know who to listen to. If we actually made up later, would she seek revenge on them? "Get out! Don't make me repeat myself!" Yvonne screamed out, her heart completely shattering. Even if she hated the decor, it was our bridal suite. She tricked me into buying it to save her family's project, and now, it was a total war zone. Feeling the heavy tension, the guards dropped their bats and left. Yvonne suddenly asked, "Who actually ordered this? And what is that burned pile on the floor?" One guard nervously replied, "The young master ordered it. That burned pile is your wedding dress and your portraits." Hearing this, Yvonne completely broke down. "Get out! Everyone, get out!" Once she was alone, she collapsed onto the floor. She finally realized I was completely serious. I wasn't throwing a tantrum. I was actively erasing her from my life. That dress took me a month in Europe to custom order. That was her gift. Why? Why didn't you even give me a chance to explain? Yvonne sobbed heavily on the carpet. Then, she noticed a blinding patch of dark red stains right on the pristine white rug. He was severely hurt. Was Chase really in pain? What did I do to push him to this point? She buried her face in her hands and wailed. Her bright eyes, which used to sparkle, were now empty pools of absolute despair. So what happens next? Back in the suite, this mysterious girl and I were completely entangled. An hour later, I totally passed out. First, stick with me. Our main character was completely exhausted, his body and mind entirely drained from drama. He barely had any stamina left to keep going. But the girl was heavily drugged, and her instincts just kept making her cling right to him. Knowing the substance was still in her system, he took the heroic route. To save her life completely, he gritted his teeth and pushed through the sheer exhaustion. 1 full hour later, the effects finally faded completely. She collapsed onto the bed, totally exhausted. He was finally free. His whole body felt like absolute jelly, legs shaking violently. "Damn it," he weakly grumbled. "If I find whoever drugged her, they are totally finished," he swore. The very next morning, the girl woke up first. Mia stared blankly at the ceiling before realizing a total stranger was in her bed. She almost screamed aloud, but pure embarrassment and anger took over as heavy tears started falling. He was still stuck there. Mia was actually a graduating senior from Motto Drama Academy. Just yesterday, she arrived in Hang City for a big performance, invited by her senior Lucas. After the show, Liz dragged her to meet creepy investors, hinting heavily that she needed to be open-minded and make some physical sacrifices. Mia instantly refused and tried leaving. Lucas backed down, only asking her to finish one single glass of wine before heading out. Pay close attention here. She thought one drink was fine. Big mistake. That glass was completely spiked. She blacked out, dragged to a sketchy hotel room for some creepy old guy, but her willpower was absolutely legendary. When that gross dude walked in, she threw up right on him. While he showered, she made an epic escape run, only to end up accidentally delivering herself right into our main character's lap. Mia stared at him, sleeping soundly. She remembered throwing herself at him and tearing his shirt open. Remembering that wild night, her face burned completely red. What on earth do I do now? Pulling the blanket up to her chin, she snuck a quick glance at his face. Wait a minute, he was actually incredibly handsome. She sighed deeply. Well, at least it was him. If it had been that gross old guy, she would have jumped. Since her own dress was completely ruined, she tiptoed out barefoot and threw on his fancy suit jacket. She slept with him, and now she was totally stealing his clothes. Am I a terrible person? Mia hesitated for a second, unclasped her necklace, and left it right on the nightstand with a note. Just a one-night stand. Forget it happened. Do not look for me. Taking the jacket. Here is a necklace to pay for it. He slept until noon. By the time he woke up, Mia was gone. He searched the entire suite, but found nobody. Then he spotted the note and necklace left on the nightstand. A fair trade in classic anime logic, he jokingly thought. He gripped the delicate necklace, noticed the red stain on the bedsheets, and smiled mysteriously. I know what you are thinking. Did she actually escape? Absolutely not. He immediately called Luke, his security chief. Someone entered my room last night and stayed for hours. I want every single detail about her immediately. Oh, and bring me some fresh clothes right away. Before Luke could even answer, he hung up and hit the shower. On the other end, Luke completely panicked. What? Someone actually broke into the young master's room. He aggressively barked orders to check all security cameras. By the time his shower finished, guards arrived with fresh clothes and a massive file folder. You guys work fast. What did you actually find? Young master, we successfully identified her. Her name is Mia, a student over at Motto Drama Academy. She was invited for a performance and got drugged at a banquet. The guy who invited her was Lucas, an older senior from her school. So Lucas drugged her? He asked coldly. Luke nodded. Most likely. Or he was the middleman. Our hero sneered. An absolutely terrifying, dark aura leaking out. And who was he planning to deliver her to? Luke hesitated nervously. You know this person, sir. It is a very complicated relationship. He paused while throwing on his jacket. Who? He could not fathom knowing a total scumbag who trafficked drugged women. He considered himself a decent rich heir. He definitely did not mess around with trashy playboys. His inner circle only had decent people. Luke looked insanely awkward. It is Uncle Barry. Uncle Barry? Who the heck is Uncle Barry? He could not recall a single person with that title. Barry Turner, Harold Turner's younger brother. Hearing that specific name, he ground his teeth until they nearly cracked. Barry Turner was a greedy, awful leech who constantly used the Chester family name to terrorize innocent people. He was basically a useless bum until Harold begged him for a job. To appease Harold, his future father-in-law, he handed Barry a logistics manager position right at the main Chester headquarters. Who knew Barry would treat it like an all-you-can-eat buffet? He dragged his entire Turner clan into the business. They acted like absolute tyrants, taking bribes, stealing funds, and turning the logistics department into a complete circus. He never expected a small-time loser like Barry to suddenly become a massive boss, getting entertainment agencies to send drugged girls straight to his hotel room. You and I both know what happened. He used the family name to steal millions. Hazel actually reported Barry's behavior before, but not wanting to embarrass Harold or Yvonne, he had simply told her to just tolerate the absolute madness. Barry even had the nerve to flirt. Listen up, we are about to watch my first revenge target get completely wrecked. Last time I let his talk slide. Not today. Take me to the company, I demanded. Chester Tower was literally the most famous skyscraper in Hang City. I strolled into that massive lobby completely alone, leaving my bodyguards outside. Instantly, this sloppy security guard stepped right in my way, acting totally arrogant, like I owed him $5 million. Hey, Where do you think you were sneaking off to? Do you even realize what building this is? The dude was not even wearing a uniform hat, looking like a complete mess. If he was the actual face of Chester Corporation, we would seriously go bankrupt by Tuesday. This is Chester Tower, the main headquarters of the Chester Boss Group. I want to go inside. You think you can stop me? I shot back. The chubby guard just sneered. Ooh, tough guy. Who do you think you are, Chase Chester? If you are Chase Chester, then I am your dad. Call me dad. My eyes flashed with absolute, pure rage. Insulting me is fine, but disrespecting my late father means he is finished. Before I could call my men, another guard totally sprinted over, took one single look, and bowed low. Young master, I apologize. We had no idea you were coming. The sloppy guard totally cracked up laughing. Martin, what nonsense are you talking about? Young master? Chase Chester always travels with 8 bodyguards. What kind of young master is this guy? Martin, the loyal guard, stood his ground. I am Martin. I personally met the young master a few years ago when he visited here. Seeing Martin look so certain, the sloppy guard started sweating bullets. But he quickly puffed up his chest, casually walking over to sling an arm around my shoulder. Watch this audacity. Brother-in-law, we meet. I am Kevin, Yvonne's cousin. We are basically family. Having him touch me genuinely made my stomach turn. The dude literally smelled like a gym locker, completely unwashed for a whole month. I aggressively shoved him away just to breathe some fresh air. Kevin stayed grinning. He just smirked proudly, tossing a smug look at Martin like, see, that is my brother-in-law. We are super close. Clearly, Kevin completely missed the news about the cancelled engagement. He shamelessly kept talking. Brother-in-law, I lost way too much playing cards yesterday. Could you spot me some cash? You are super rich. One snap of your fingers is honestly enough for me to live comfortably. I will totally put in a good word for you with Yvonne. I stood there stunned. Where did this guy get the absolute nerve to demand gambling money from me? He totally ignored my high status as the heir to the Chester family. What did you say? Come on, you are loaded. It means nothing to you. Kevin brushed it off. Yvonne is my sweet little cousin. We are super close. Doesn't seem like you two are that close, I sneered. What do you mean? My mom and her mom are cousins. I watched her grow up. I laughed inside. Harold was literally the ultimate outcast of the entire Turner family. He was barely respected, let alone his clueless extended relatives. Before, I only tolerated them just to give Harold some face. You and I both know this is wild. I thought giving them simple jobs bought peace. Who knew they would completely infest my company? Martin, call the entire security squad down here right now, I ordered firmly. Martin had zero clue about my plan, but he immediately obeyed. Kevin finally started panicking, realizing I was absolutely not the pushover Harold described. Back when Kevin first joined, he was terrified. A middle school dropout suddenly working as a guard at the absolute top corporation in the whole city. But seeing Uncle Barry freely harass receptionists with zero consequences, Kevin quickly figured out just how incredibly powerful Harold's backing really was. Soon enough, his parents and greedy relatives completely swarmed us. Relatives ran the cafeteria, others managed the motor pool. The Turner family basically colonized the whole building. Everyone knew they were stealing money, but nobody dared speak up. Anyone who actually tried got dealt with instantly. 2 minutes later, the whole security team jogged inside. Chase, a few guys totally called in sick today. Just tell me what you need, I will pass it along. Who gave you permission to speak? I roared loudly. Did I even ask you? Back off. Kevin swallowed hard, dropping his arrogant act and stepping away. I looked right at Martin. Speak. What is the exact status of the security team? Show me. Leave requests for these missing guards. Martin gritted his teeth. Young master, we have 45 guards divided across 3 squads. Squad 1 is all ex-military. Squads 2 and 3 are entirely Turner relatives. Around 30 guys just like Kevin. They are totally lazy, refuse direct orders, and literally never patrol. They just sit in the break room playing cards all day long. I was absolutely furious. Am I paying salaries to run a casino in my own lobby? And all the others? Martin glared fiercely at Kevin. Some of them have literally never even stepped foot inside the company. They are pure phantom names on the payroll, just collecting a paycheck. Most are literally old men doing absolutely nothing. Stick with me. This gets wilder. Young master, Martin continued. Honestly, if it was just about greed, whatever. Alright, let's dive in. These guys treat the company like their personal playground. They bullied veteran workers into resigning just to hire their own relatives. The only good people left are fiercely loyal to the Chester family, or the ones President Hazel actually begged to stay around. I used to be the captain, but when the Turners arrived, they demoted me and made Kevin's dad the boss. Yet, he never even shows up. My face went completely pale. This was the main Chester Tower headquarters. If security was this totally compromised, how were we protecting our confidential files? What else? Spill it. Even if you fire me, I am telling the truth, Martin said, sadly shaking his head. These scumbags harass our female employees. They constantly demand bribes from our corporate clients. They even sneak shady guests into the company break rooms. When small business owners visit, they force them to pay insane parking fees before letting them in. I was speechless with pure rage. They treated me like an absolute joke. I was the absolute worst sinner of the Chester family. Now realized how much Hazel suffered, keeping this empire afloat while battling these greedy parasites. I gently patted Martin on the shoulder. Martin, I am sorry you endured this. It is my fault for enabling these scumbags and letting the company rot away. I almost completely destroyed my own family legacy. Martin was so deeply moved, he almost cried. He was a veteran from my father's era, working faithfully here for over 20 years. With his resume, he could have easily left for a better job, but he stayed out of pure loyalty. Young master, since you finally woke up, it is not too late. We can still save this place. I understand, and I will clean house. Now pay attention to this. Chase, why are you in the lobby? Hazel stepped out of the elevators, flanked by her assistants and secretaries. Seeing her, my eyes turned red with emotion. What is wrong? Did these guards disrespect you? Hazel assumed they insulted me. She knew exactly how vile they were. If I had not explicitly forbidden it, she would have fired them into the sun years ago. No, it is not that. I shook my head. To Hazel, I was always the little brother who refused to ever grow up. Sis, I was totally wrong. I was blind to who was good and bad, and I caused you so much trouble. Hazel glanced at Martin, who quickly gave her a confirming nod. She understood immediately and smiled radiantly. Chase, you are my closest family. No matter what you choose to do, I will always support you. Her words hit me so hard I teared up. She meant every single word. In my past life, just one call from me, and Hazel handed over her entire CEO authority without a single fight. Call the legal department and the police right now. I want all of these greedy parasites arrested immediately. Make them spit out every single penny they stole. I roared, totally furious. Up in the office, I slammed my hand on the desk, reading the files Hazel handed me. Turns out, Hazel had not just been sitting around. You and I knew she was smart, right? She secretly compiled a massive dossier of every single illegal thing the Turner clan ever did. She was waiting for the day. I finally woke up. Reading it, I realized how truly awful they were. What is this madness? How could I have been so stupid? Sis, slap me. Seriously? Just hit me so I can feel better. I was so totally disgusted. I wanted to punch my own face. Barry Turner had not just harassed our female employees. He actively stalked them. He even repeatedly harassed Hazel. She confronted him directly, but Barry was not even scared. He openly mocked her for being an adopted orphan. He even had the sheer audacity to tell Hazel that if she slept with him, he would divorce his wife and marry her to unite the families. Hazel was so disgusted she almost threw up. She actually told me about it back then, but because my brain was hijacked by Yvonne, I completely brushed it off. Empowered, Barry kept harassing her. If it was not for the senior executive stepping in to protect her, he might have actually tried something worse. Sis, I am glad you're safe. The nightmare is over. I comforted her, though my heart ached with guilt. It is fine. The fact that you woke up is the best thing ever. I am not mad anymore. Hazel ruffled my hair, smiling warmly and letting go of the past. But are you really going to send them all to prison? Yes. Not only are they paying back the money, but I want them behind bars, preferably for life. I angrily ground my teeth. How could I ever forgive them? I wanted him to regret the day he was born. As long as that is your attitude, I will handle the rest, Hazel said, grabbing the files and heading to the police. Right after she left, the legal vice president, Victor, knocked and entered the room. Chairman M. Victor, head of the legal department. His voice was cold, robotic, and clearly filled with disdain. I had no idea how I offended him. I did not even really know the guy, Victor, I need you to draft a share transfer agreement. Victor looked incredibly surprised. Trust me, you and I are gonna love this twist. He assumed I was scared of Yvonne being mad about the arrests, so I was trying to bribe her with more stock. Oh, he is so wrong. Is the 8% we prepared earlier just not enough? Let's dive right into this wild awakening. Give her what, exactly? I froze completely. What? 8%? Why would I give shares to Yvonne Turner? Victor raised his eyebrow, looking totally confused. Absolutely not. Why reward her at all? I fired back. Victor sighed in huge relief, but still looked completely skeptical. Then who gets the shares? Did you find another girl? Victor was Hazel's best friend. He always begged her to leave the Chester family, totally hating how she broke her back running the massive corporate empire, just for me to hand her hard-earned cash to the Turners. When I first asked him to draft that 8% transfer for Yvonne, Victor was absolutely furious. He practically called me a complete idiot right there. Suddenly, it clicked. Oh, right. Thanks for the reminder. The shares and properties are still mine, but those $88 billion in dowry cash and the 8 priceless antiques were already shipped out. Send a formal legal notice to the Turner family. Demand they return everything back to us immediately. Victor stared like I was literally an alien. Was I finally cured of being a massive pushover? Okay, so who gets the shares then? Victor was stunned, then absolutely thrilled. Got it. No problem at all. Drafting it now. He literally sprinted out, completely losing his cool, lawyer composure. What is the rush? Afraid I might flip? I laughed. Victor froze. He was totally terrified I would backtrack, wanting it locked in fast. Wait, how much are we actually transferring? You are not ready for this wild flex. 25%, I said. Victor's jaw dropped. That equaled $1 trillion. That equals the entire net worth of massive megacorporations. And I was just handing it away. Looking at me, he knew I was serious. Standing tall at the very top of Chester Tower, I stared down at the sprawling city below. Everyone looked like tiny ants. I finally grasped why people ruthlessly chase wealth and supreme power. The rush of standing right at the world's absolute apex was pure magic. Every single time I stood here, pictured my father grinding endlessly. After losing my parents, I poured every ounce of energy into spoiling Yvonne, desperately trying to fill that empty void. Then, my desk phone suddenly rang. The receptionist warned that Harold Turner was demanding a meeting. Harold was sneaky. In just one single night, he successfully diverted all the internet drama. Last night, paparazzi magically dropped massive scandals on top celebrities. A famous acting couple got exposed for faking their romance for cash. Plus, a huge pop idol got busted in a massive scandal. Those crazy scandals instantly buried Yvonne and Dylan's mess. Today, the Turner stock dipped, but avoided completely crashing. But you and I know the internet never forgets. Unless totally fixed, that juicy scandal could resurface anytime. So, Harold showed up to negotiate, demanding I release a public statement claiming I misunderstood Yvonne. Ideally, Yvonne should have apologized herself, but she completely vanished after I allowed her entire incompetent extended family to walk into my company. Arriving at Chester Tower, Harold watched in pure shock as his brother, nephews, and cousins were violently shoved into police cruisers. Totally panicked, he sprinted over. What is going on? Why are you arrested? Barry, Ning absolutely pathetic, treated Harold like a hero. Harold, save us. Please go talk to Chase and beg for some mercy. Kevin cried out loudly. Well, Harold, Chase has totally lost it. He made his adopted sister call the cops on us. Make him let us go, or tell Yvonne to cancel the wedding. Harold, you claimed this was our company. You said we could do whatever. I only grabbed a little cash. Why am I being locked up? Tell your son-in-law to drop these charges. Another relative whined loudly. Harold finally connected the dots. I was furious, and I was using his precious relatives as punching bags. Marching into my office, he still faked that arrogant father-in-law vibe. Chase, what you did here today was wrong. They are your elders. If they messed up, you tell me, and I will handle it personally. Why involve the police here? Did Hazel force you into this? Let me warn you, when you marry Yvonne, these very relatives become your real, true family. Hazel is just an outsider without blood ties. Why pick her? Yvonne will be absolutely livid when she finds out. Call the cops and release them immediately. I will book a nice dinner, you apologize, and we call it even. I let out a freezing laugh, watching his performance. I wanted to see him try spinning this total disaster into a victory. He kept rambling until my intense silence made him realize his mistake. Chase, why are you staying so quiet? It is just a minor issue. No need to blow this out of proportion. A minor issue? I roared back at him. Your relatives embezzled over $100 million. Is that a minor issue? They harassed my female staff. I literally have the security footage. Is that a minor issue? I violently slammed my hand on the desk, stood tall, and pointed straight at his face. But my real fury was not about the money. What do we learn here? Nobody targets Hazel. In this life, she is my absolute bottom line. Let's dive into this drama. Harold flinched at my sudden outburst, totally speechless. I used to be a loyal golden retriever around him. I genuinely knew nothing about that. You should have told me earlier. I warned them not to mess around, Harold stammered. I totally knew Harold pocketed most of the cash Barry swiped. He was simply the sneaky puppet master here. Mr. Turner sneered. Are you really blaming me for not explaining corporate laws to them? Are they 3-year-old toddlers? I am not wasting my breath. I'm absolutely not letting them off. I only let you up here because the Turner family must do one specific thing for me. If you refuse, I am suing the entire Turner Corporation. Harold wasn't completely clueless. He easily figured out I was playing major hardball. Internally, he furiously cursed Yvonne for keeping a side guy and wrecking the family. Chase, I understand. I will relay this to the elders. The 88 billion dowry and those 8 antiques. You really have quite the silver tongue. Trying to completely reverse an absolutely hopeless situation. Very impressive. If you weren't such a smooth talker, a talentless guy like you would have never climbed so incredibly high in the Turner family. Harold had never been humiliated like this before. It was a direct slap to the face. He stood up, pointing a sharply trembling finger at me. I stared right back with cold, empty eyes. If you do not want my guard to snap that finger off, I highly suggest you put it down. Harold finally realized I wasn't playing around. He quietly lowered his hand and sat back down. He knew exactly what it felt like having his dignity totally stomped into the dirt. If you want to vent your anger, I will call Yvonne here right now. However you want to punish her, the Turner family will not say a word, Harold offered desperately. I thought to myself, does Harold even understand being betrayed? Did Yvonne's mom give him a green hat, cheating on him too? You still do not get it. I totally canceled the engagement last night. Who she likes or dates literally has nothing to do with me anymore. But whatever belongs to the Chester family, the Turners must return intact. I am done talking. Get out. He was still trying to struggle, really wanting to discuss the press conference. Watch this. Victor burst into the room holding the share transfer agreement. Ignoring Harold entirely, he excitedly cheered, Chairman, please review the transfer agreement for the 25% Chester Group shares. If everything looks good, sign it right now. Before I could even answer, Harold leaped up like a wild animal, snatched the contract from Victor's hands, skimmed it, and screamed, You are giving 25% of your shares to Hazel for free? No, I absolutely forbid it. He aggressively ripped the contract to shreds right in front of us. I was absolutely dumbfounded by his pure audacity. Victor finally realized someone else was in the room and totally regretted blurting out company secrets. It only took him 15 minutes to draft it because he really wanted to secure the bag. For his best friend, Hazel. Knowing Harold was Yvonne's dad, Victor instantly understood why he was here. Victor hated Yvonne, and after the massive cheating scandal, he disliked her even more. He just glared at Harold with pure disgust. What does this actually have to do with you? Is it your turn to object? Just get out. Victor snapped, incredibly furious because now he had to go print the contract all over again. If I somehow changed my mind, Hazel would lose $1 trillion. Chase, 25% is not a small amount. Think about it carefully. If Yvonne finds out, you two really will not be able to get back together. Harold tried to sound like he was looking out for me, but he was honestly just protecting his own heavy wallet. I suppressed my rage, told Victor to go print another copy, and calmly turned to Harold. Mr. Turner, Yvonne and I are never getting back together. Why on earth would I care what she thinks? Do you really expect me to worship that unfaithful trash and make her the lady of the Chester family? Harold stubbornly refused to just give up. Can you believe this? Chase, if you dislike Yvonne, I have another daughter, Nora Turner. She is Yvonne's younger sister. She has liked you since she was a kid, remember? She is gentler than her sister, has a better personality, and is just as beautiful. She's been studying abroad, but she's all grown up now and absolutely stunning. Most importantly, she's never had a boyfriend. Absolutely pure. I'll marry her to you instead. How about that? I really didn't expect Harold to pull this wild card. I clearly remembered Nora Turner, of course. When we were younger kids, the three of us played together. But later, I only had eyes for Yvonne, so Nora went abroad. In my previous life, when I married Yvonne, Nora flew back just for the wedding, then immediately returned straight to Europe. The last time I heard her voice was when I was completely paralyzed. She sat right by my bed, absolutely crying her heart out. That was the exact moment I realized she truly loved me too. She had moved abroad because she couldn't bear watching me dote on Yvonne daily. When she heard I was paralyzed, she flew back, had a massive screaming match with Yvonne, and even slapped her, demanding to take me abroad for treatment. But Yvonne totally blocked her and completely banned her from visiting me. After that, Yvonne forced Nora to go back overseas, and I sadly never heard from her again. So what do you and I take from this? If I had any warmth left for the Turners, it was only for Nora. Yet Harold was treating his own daughter like meat, literally selling her to the highest bidder. Let's dive in. This guy was absolutely disgusting, treating his daughters like mere bargaining chips. Get out of here right now, I furiously roared. But even as I yelled, Harold just kept shamelessly begging, Chase, please, just think about it. This is a total win for both the Chesters and the Turners. Ignoring him, I just picked up the phone and called my secretary. Send security up here and throw this utter trash out of my building. The guards dragged Harold out kicking and screaming. Seeing him finally gone, a weird mix of heavy exhaustion and pure, sweet liberation washed over me. Victor came right back with the new contract, and I signed it instantly without blinking. $1 trillion. My family legacy was finally exactly where it belonged, safely resting in the hands of the one person who never turned her back on me. When Hazel returned and saw those signed papers, she did not even celebrate the massive wealth. She just held my hand softly, her eyes shining with the first real peace I had seen in years. Now watch closely, things get crazy. Within 48 hours, the Turner Group stock did not just drop. It went into total freefall, cutting all my strategic partnerships, basically acted like a brutal chokehold right around their entire corporate neck. Desperate to save her status, Yvonne finally appeared, intercepting my path right outside the Chester Tower. She looked totally wrecked, her white dress replaced by a sharp suit that could not hide her. Trembling, Chase, look at me, she cried, shoving a medical report into my chest. I went to the hospital. I am clean. Dylan is honestly just a friend, a brother. You are ruining my family over a misunderstanding. I completely ignored her paper. I stared right through her, like she was made of glass. Yvonne, even if you were an actual saint, I would not care. I replied, my voice empty of the warmth she had selfishly exploited for decades. In my past life, you destroyed me for that guy. In this one, I'm just letting you face the consequences of your choices. She turned completely pale, finally realizing that the loyal golden retriever she had trained so well would never, ever bark for her again. As the legal trap snapped shut around Barry and those Turner parasites, I took the final, massive step to completely dismantle their empire. I know what you are thinking. Total wipeout? Not quite. I let the market crush them, but made one exception, calling Nora in Europe. On our video call, she did not ask for money or beg me to save her father's reputation. She just asked if I was okay. I told her the honest truth, that I was finally awake. I offered her the chairmanship of the ruined Turner Company, provided she purged every single one of Harold and Barry's cronies. She agreed, not for power, but to clean up the absolute mess her family had caused. 1 month later, the huge news finally dropped. Barry Turner got slammed with 20 years for heavy embezzlement, stalking, and corporate racketeering. Harold lost everything. Stripped of his massive assets and title, he became a bitter old man in a tiny apartment, still blindly blaming everybody except his own self. As for Dylan, without Yvonne's shield and my family's cash, his medical emergencies suddenly stopped being profitable. He ended up working as a cheap club promoter, his charm completely vanishing right alongside Yvonne's bank account. Yvonne became a total outcast. That nasty cheater label I slapped on her was absolutely permanent. She spent her days hopelessly wandering outside the Chester estate, but the guards, now led by a newly promoted Martin, never let her inside. On a quiet, peaceful evening, I stood on the old Chester mansion balcony beside Hazel. The King Villa was completely leveled. That $1.5 billion fake love nest was replaced by a beautiful public park honoring my parents. What now, little brother? Hazel cheerfully asked, clinking her glass against mine. I stared at the city lights, no longer feeling like a victim. Now, I smiled back. We actually get to live. I spent my past life falling for a lie and half of this one fighting a war. For the first time, the silence here did not feel like a brewing storm. It felt like home. Trust me on this. I finally traded cheap pebbles for the diamond that was standing by my side all along.